Here we are. Happy Thursday, everyone. It's time for the shuffle. I'm really excited for today because we were planning on going over the whole suit of the Pentacles, which is my favorite. But first, like I've been opening the streams previously, I want to do a deep dive on one card to really look at one random one each day, get a chance to pull some of the major arcana we've yet to really reach in this live stream series here. Man, there's a lot to go over in the major arcana. I could do 3 weeks on just that set. But I'm going to go ahead and draw one card that I'm going to take a closer look at while we wait for people to show up. It always takes everyone a little time to filter in, and this gives us a nice short topic to consider while we're all still gathering. The card I want to take a closer look at today, ooh, speaking of major arcana, is the Sun. Sun's a really fun one. I'm drawing from my deck of mysterious forest creatures that all have these large, eerie eyes. I love the character of this deck. The Sun. Oh, what a magnificent card. This is all about like just wholeness and fullness that comes from really being your true self, and you're just glowing. It's just flowing through you. It is the 19th card in the cycle of the major arcana, and just like all of the minor arcana kind of arcs tell a story from 1 through to 10, there is a story across the major arcana, a long, winding, magnificent story across the major arcana from 1 to 21, with the Fool or 0 kind of being the first and last card of the cycle. This is 19. This is much later in the cycle, so there's a lot that you've gone through to fully realize yourself in the Sun. This card represents that self-actualization for any psychologists that might be listening in, if you're not looking for those analogs to tarot. It really is a powerful card because there's just so much about you that is accomplished and that you've grown into, and what a fun card. I could talk about that one a little longer, but I'm very eager to get into the Pentacles suit. As always, if at any point anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I am watching. I also have the capability for people to call in on Zoom and be featured on stream if you have a question that you'd like to ask, or if you'd like to tune in and go ahead and buy a $5 to $10 micro reading. I'll do that for you right here on stream, and we can do that too. With all of that out of the way, I'm going to get right into the meat and potatoes of it here with the Pentacles suit. Very excited to go over this one in detail. Pentacles are our Earth suit, right? So we're talking about everything to do with reality, the physical world, finances, career, anything really tangible and real, concrete, and definitive. The Pentacles are a very practical suit that are really concerned with that which can be measured, that which can be quantified, that which is real. Unmistakably, absolutely, completely real and factual. Our Earth suit is super practical, super grounded, super logical, very intelligent. It's and super prepared and very conscientious. We'll see a lot of these characteristics come through many of the cards in this set. Starting with the Ace. The aces, all of the aces kind of talk about, new beginnings, but pertaining to their suit. The Ace of Pentacles has always carried a message to me that you're doing things now that'll pay you back later. And a lot of times it's given the analogy of like planting seeds. You're getting everything in order that will set you up for later. This is the first submissions of those forms. This could be, day one on the job. I'm now just getting established in a new kind of workspace or a new group of people, and the Pentacles are always going to have this kind of slow, plodding, calculated, cautious nature about them. And the Ace of Pentacles reflects those kinds of new beginnings, where we're really sitting here and charting out everything that needs to be done and taking the first steps that need to be taken for us to accomplish whatever it is we're setting out to do. Previously, I've always come up with an analogy to tell a story across the suit. I think that, well, I'm going to spoil a little surprise, which is that the Nine of Pentacles is my favorite card in the deck. So I'm going to make my analogy, my story, about somebody who is trying to provide for themselves, has maybe been relying on others, is living with, somewhere where they got free room and board, whether it be your parents or wherever, and they're really looking to strike out on their own and really hold themselves up, which would involve the acquisition of the resources to do so. And in this case, in the example I'm going to go with, I really do like the story of getting a job, and the work involved there. So I'm going to go with that. This Ace of Pentacles and that story, that analogy, would kind of resemble I'm applying for jobs, right? I'm really putting myself out there. I'm filling out all the forms. I'm getting my resume and my cover letters in order, and this is all the preliminary work. A lot of times when I've drawn the Ace of Pentacles, the message that kind of comes through to me in a reading is something akin to, just don't put it off, like do it now. All the stuff that you could do later, because all this preparatory work is like, I don't have to do it now, I just have to do it eventually. Just do it. Make those first steps. Our pentacles are so industrious and so hardworking. Why procrastinate when I could do it now and yield my returns sooner? That's just practical, which is all our Earth suit is going to be. If you're looking for complicated feelings about getting started on something, talk to our cups. If we're thinking about, I'm not sure what to do to get started, talk to the swords. Like, those are going to involve some of our emotional cups, water, navigation of things, or our intellectual decision-making, airy swords kinds of things. These pentacles are just going to talk about the brass tacks of what you're doing. Send out those job applications, or I filled out my resume and I've got it. Once you've kind of set up your work for yourself in the Ace of Pentacles and gotten the first steps out of the way, we transition here into the Two. The Two always depicts someone usually on a tightrope, balancing two pentacles, kind of juggling them back and forth. There's a lot in the story of the Two of Pentacles that is about just carefully, that word's going to keep coming up, taking these little steps forward, balancing on the tightrope, or in this case, just balancing the two pentacles in this very traditional Vibrate deck. And slowly kind of doing the work one step at a time. You know what you need to do, and Earth is so happy to do the steady, diligent, just one step at a time. As long as I keep putting time into it, it's going to move forward. I'll get there eventually. This Two of Pentacles is not rushed. But it really is just about carrying out the minutia, the kind of mundane work involved in getting to your eventual where you're going. This could resemble, in my analogy, the actual process of continuing to send out applications and going through the interview process and all of this, and just doing the work that needs to be done for your work to yield fruit. The Two of Pentacles could also resemble kind of your learning the ropes at a new job. This is the first week of figuring everything out. There's a lot to me. In fact, a lot of times when I've drawn a Two of Pentacles in a reading, the message that comes to me is something akin to, I'm still working it out. I'm really just kind of figuring my way through it, learning something a little new, and I'm doing it carefully and deliberately. I'm going to learn it right, not going to practice mistakes, and I'm going to get there. I'm not in a rush. I want to do it well. Two of Pentacles. It's a fun card. Now, I love where the Two of Pentacles leads. When you're sitting here, I'm still working it out. I'm still learning about it. And you take this safe, careful, earthy, diligent approach. We lead into the Three of Pentacles really nicely. The Three of Pentacles kind of depicts a master craftsman who's produced this work, in this case, this nice stone work with all these pentacles, and kind of resembles the place where instead of working it out in the Two of Pentacles, I'm working on it in the Three of Pentacles. I now have some sort of product to show for the work that I've put into it so far. And I'm just doing my routine that I've learned. You know, I'm hammering out my work. This is kind of like, okay, so I'm getting some interviews. If I'm, you know, in the analogy where I've just been applying for jobs, I'm getting some interviews and I'm starting to go through those and putting that out there. And I'm continuing that work that I've already starting to get somewhere, you know. I've got some momentum now. I'm really in the thick of the work. If I'm working with the analogy where I've just started the new job, this is the moment, this is weeks 2, 3, 4, where, okay, I get the routine now, and I'm just working on it. I'm doing my work. Just nice, steady, even, keeping it up. Because I've learned some skills in the 2, and now I'm applying them in the 3. And Earth loves these comfortable, relaxed, resolved, I understand and control everything about this. This is my work that I know, that I'm good at now, and I just want to live here because I'm Earth. And that's the kind of state that I'm seeking. Which brings me to the 4 in the series, where we reveal Earth's sedentary nature. The 4 of Pentacles, I was just talking about how in the 3, the Earth suit becomes very comfortable in its routine. Our Earth suit is going to really resemble a lot of that love of familiarity. And in the 3, you just start doing your work. Let's say I've got this analogy where I've got a new job and I'm going through the first month and now I'm just carrying it out day to day. What Earth's inclination to do with that is to just sock it away. Earth is going to be the best element at saving money. Oh my goodness, they're so frugal and so careful and so conscientious, and they're going to, you know, save it and invest it really intelligently. And they are going to be looking to save and build wealth, which is a little bit of what's happening here in the 4 of Pentacles. This is often called the greedy miser card. There's someone pictured who's, you know, 2 pentacles under the feet, one kind of wrapped up in their arms. It's mine. And it kind of resembles this. I'm conserving myself, conserving my energy. I'm just maintaining my status quo. I'm not forging new connections. At this point in the cycle, I am established at this new job, and I'm just going to smooth sailing, try to keep it that way. I'm not putting myself out to other places. I'm saving as much as I can because my intention is for my investments to grow into magnificent returns later. Earth really understands this, that if I conserve myself now, I have more later. There's a plot twist here, though, that when I hold myself in this place where I'm not giving myself to anybody, or my wealth, or my time, I'm kind of isolating myself. The greedy miser is kind of destined to be on their own because they're not sharing themselves or their things with anyone, which is what moves us into the 5 of Pentacles. The 5 of Pentacles is often called the pariahs, the social pariahs. There's usually 2 lepers pictured outside the church, which is supposed to resemble this place that's, you know, typically welcoming in a sense of community, and these people are not a part of it. They are the outcasts. They are on the outside. The 5 of Pentacles is a place of being alone, of isolation. and is the natural product of the miser's refusal to invest themselves. I chose this in the 4, to be alone, to be on my own, kind of conserved all just for myself. And it's in the 5 of Pentacles where we have this turn where it's like, well, okay, I can't get, if I don't invest myself at all, there's nothing that will eventually return to me. Hi, Rachel. So good to see you in the chat there. Glad you made it. I'm halfway through the Pentacles suit right now, and I'm just detailing a little bit about what these cards mean. Thanks for tuning in. Hit me with any questions you like. The 5 of Pentacles definitely is this place of being alone, of being the outcast, and is the natural product of having not invested yourself. It's at this point in the cycle where it becomes evident on our kind of path here that we need to be able to give ourselves to get something back, because we are now shut out. We're now isolated. In my story here, let's say this is where I've been working this analogy, this story of getting a new job, to kind of describe a story across the entire arc here. And at this point in the arc, I'm so glad, Rachel, that the Pentacles are some of your faves. Mom, I like you. Hi, Tabor, tuning in the chat, asking, is the person in the 4 of Pentacles the one inside the church who's shutting other people out? And in a way, yes, the people in the church that are not giving themselves to the lepers are in a way acting a lot like a 4 of Pentacles. We're not going to expend our shelter, our food, our security on you people that are locked out. So there is kind of a character about the people inside that church that definitely resembles a little bit of the 4 of Pentacles. That's nice to point out. But I really do see these people outside the church as the evolving character that was in the 4 of Pentacles. That it's for not having given myself to anybody that I now have nobody surrounding me. And this was all in Earth's very patient, long play kind of intent to move to the 6. I want to talk briefly before I skip to the 6. I almost got ahead of myself. About the analogy that I've been drawing, where you've got a new job. At this point in the cycle, I see you just kind of doing your thing day to day at the job to collect the paycheck and not really looking for yet the upward mobility, remembering that Earth is very slow and cautious. They've probably planned and have aware where there will be opportunities for upward mobility in this job, if there are any, or where they would be going to next. But this is really about just being on your own. You know, Earth is so shy, Earth is so cautious, that when I was doing my 4 of Pentacles and I was like, I figured out the work that I do to collect my paycheck in the 3, and I'm going to do literally that, nothing more, and save all of my money. I'm now at the 5 where I'm like, wow, I have not been going out and seeing anyone. I have not been getting anything for myself or anybody else. I have, you know, these relationships at work, but they're only professional relationships. Then that's the extent of them. That was necessary for me to develop. And that's it. That's all I have at this point. I haven't really expended the resources that I've amassed at this point. We're halfway through the cycle, and Earth has not put themselves out. Remember, like wands, frickin' the ace, first card. They're spending energy, putting themselves out there, and through the entire set, continuing to do the same. Earth is very different. It is not until we reach the 6 that we're really seriously investing ourselves into anything or anyone else. The 6 in the cycle represents a place where you now have some wealth amassed, or some skill, or some valuable time that you have to share now. Remembering that the things that you have to give in the 6, or that really pertain to anything to do with any of our pentacles, are real, tangible, measurable things. And our time, or our talents, or our money, or our possessions all fall under that umbrella. And this 6 really refers to the sharing of those. You see this figure in the middle who's giving out money to the needy and has a scale and a balance because they have reasoned out exactly how they want to spend the resources that they've amassed to this point in the cycle. Remembering that Earth does not act without thinking first. It's just not in Earth's nature. Earth will think and think and plan, and then think and think and plan, and then act. It is a very careful process. So by the time we reach the 6, he has balanced the scales. He has understood exactly how he wants to spend some of it or reinvest some of his money or his time. And he's picked the people that he knows he wants to give it to, the people that need it. You know, at this point in the cycle, this is where you're beginning to recognize the things that you or other people need. Maybe I'm realizing that a social life's not a bad thing and I need some people built up around me just to feel whole and good. I'm giving back to those people who were helping me in the first place before I got this job and got this established. I'm taking them out to a meal. I've got my friends and we're going to go down to the bar and have a good time, except not because it's a pandemic. I don't know. You know, these analogies are all falling apart because everything's different now, but you know. It's really just about giving back and really sharing the wealth that you have. This is the fun place in the Pentacles cycle because it's where you've arrived at a place where you're sure and confident enough in the wealth that you have to give some away. You know, the Earth has balanced the checkbook and knows exactly how much is allotted for this generous offering. You know, this is my tithing. It's 10%. I can afford it. It's, you know, all in budget. We're good. And I know that I'm going to put it in these places and these relationships with people that I know are going to pay me back later. I'm going to put it into certain possessions that I need that I know are going to pay me back later. You know, I'm just really starting to invest all that I've saved and built up at this point. This is where I'm really starting to think about how can I apply myself more to if I'm at this job and I'm trying to make moves for that upward mobility. Now I'm trying to, you know, make some progress and really put myself out there in a way that I know will get me to that next level, or at least draw people to me that'll be a good support. Which puts us in the 7. I really like the connection between the 6 and the 7 of Pentacles. The 7 of Pentacles shows a farmer who is relaxing because their crop is planted. They knew everything that they needed to set up and all the seeds that they needed to sow, all the people and possessions and things that they needed to invest in to make their move forward to that next level. I knew that, well, I need to look the part. I'm getting new clothes because I want to resemble that position that I'm moving up to. Turns out I need a better computer to pull this off. So I went ahead, you know, and I went that direction, or a new phone, you know, whatever it was. And I needed, you know, to really work on my diet. I'd been buying a bunch of cheap food before, but now I can really afford to treat my body a little better. So I'm making that investment for my health. And, you know, so I found all those things. In the 7, I have made the investments. I have planted the seeds. I have put everything in order. And now there's just routine upkeep and maintenance. At this point, I'm just watching it grow. I water it every day. I still go to work every day and I do my job. But I've got everything in motion at this point, and I'm watching it carry itself out. Earth is all about this, like, if I can just get everything in place and then have it all work on its own, that's ideal. Swear to you, it was Earth that invented the Rube Goldberg machines, right? I press one button and it all happens. This is where I was like setting it all up, my Rube Goldberg machine, and now I just get to watch it happen. It's happening now. Great. All I have to do is reset a couple things. That's my routine upkeep. Then it goes. I did it. I set it all up. Made it happen. I built this. This late in the cycle, you know, there's a lot that you've built up. This is the job that I'm established at. I'm really well entrenched at, and I'm starting to look good for that promotion. Or, you know, if it's a lateral leap into a job that offers some better movement, you know, maybe it's a job where I didn't have upward potential, and my 6 of Pentacles was about investing myself wholeheartedly into alternate positions to move into. and the 7 is where I'm starting to follow those leads. Of course, as always, our cards refer to these very general snippets of human experience. So there's a lot of ways that we could apply them to our life story. And it's the particular nature of human experience that they draw light to that usually brings forward the really interesting realizations and insightful messages from a reading. I enjoy this whole suit. I was about to say, I love the progression from the 7 to the 8, which I just said about the 6 to the 7, and I swear to you I could say that about every card in this series because I love Pentacles. Rachel in the chat points out there is a pentacle between this person's feet, asks if it's an important symbol. I like noticing that detail, and interestingly enough, I learned on a different deck, primarily when I was learning tarot, I practiced with the Robin Wood, which is a different set of illustrations, and I'd like to pull up the 7 of Pentacles to fully answer your question, Rachel, from this deck. And the illustration varies a little bit. In fact, on this deck, there is no pentacle beneath the person's feet. So when you pointed that out to me, I suddenly realized that's not a symbol in the card that I've really read into as much. The Robin Wood illustration of the 7 of Pentacles does feature the farmer resting because they've done their work, and the Robin Wood tarot is very faithful to the original Rider-Waite-Smith drawings. But the arrangement of the pentacles is a little different, and we don't happen to have that one right beneath this person's feet. Of course, even though I will admit to you that I've not made an interpretation of that symbol before, it's great to notice little details like that that stick out to you when you're looking at a tarot card, and to draw meaning from them if there's meaning that comes to you. That's part of how they work great as an intuitive tool. And immediately my mind, when you asked me, my mind went to, how would I interpret that? And I almost just wanted to offer that interpretation without first acknowledging that, this is something that's kind of coming to me that I feel fits the character of the card as I understand it up to this point, and expands on that, which is really just how we learn with cards. Whenever we're looking at a new tarot deck that offers different imagery and different symbols, they kind of add new ideas to that card's definition for us. So for me, looking at one pentacle beneath this person's feet, it almost feels as though like they have all this work that they did that's set out here, and there's always those chores. I almost see this resembling the little bit of work I still have to do. This is still part that I have to tread on, that I've got the hoe right next to. This resembles that, well, I still have to water it every day. There's not much to do but watch it grow, but I still have to water it every day. There's just that little bit, just one of the 7 that I still have to work on, even though I've already said everything. And Mom, you point out the one between his feet isn't on the vine, is it? A little hard to see when we zoom in because my camera's not going to give me close up quite that nice. But it's a little ambiguous, I'll be honest. It appears that the vines kind of reach out and there's a couple leaves that might be connecting that pentacle, but it looks like it might be broken too. I think that I would welcome you to do further research or to interpret that whichever way you like. It's unclear. There are some little black scraggly lines reaching out, and there are a couple leaves and some lines between kind of underneath that pentacle, but that pentacle is much more isolated from the bush, the vegetation, than anything else. Further just separating it out, it's different than the others. That one little bit of work you gotta still do. Once you've kind of got your work set out and in motion, what would Earth do? Earth would do more work. Earth would do more work and refine and master the craft that they have already been practicing so long and have become so proficient at. The 8 of Pentacles is, I almost want to say my second favorite card to the 9. Might be third. 9 of Cups is pretty baller. But the 8 of Pentacles is the apprentice, who is really studying to master their craft. And it's fun to point out that we had this 3 of Pentacles that represented this master craftsman, who, or represented at least someone who has mastered a certain amount of work. This Eight of Pentacles is a point where this much later, Earth is always seeking to learn. Learning is a really fun practice and a lifelong practice for all of us, and Earth really brings that to the forefront. It loves learning, developing skills and rich talent. And this 8 is where, well, I've got everything kind of worked out. How can I make it better? Like, how can I take this to the next level? How can I really go from, you know, an intermediate or professional level to expert or master? I just really want to, you know. So here is this apprentice who has been doing their very repetitive work of producing these pentacles, and they're really focusing on how they can bring more out of their work by focusing on all the minute details and just refining their process as well as they can. This is really about, you know, the investments we made in the 6 that we're watching mature in the 7. You know, now I've got some friends that'll hit me up every now and then. Now I've got the materials I need to do my job. I've got that fancy new clothes, and the rest is just to carry it out day to day. This is where I'm carrying it out, and I'm like, well, now I've got the clothes to look the part. Now I need the talent and the skills to win that promotion for real. And I'm going to develop it. I'm going to really study. I'm going to really, you know, put my nose to the book and to the grindstone. I'm going to really practice and, you know, get my technique tight if I'm doing more of a trade skill. And I'm just really going to become a master. I'm going to put in the practice. I'm going to put in the work. That's happening in the 8, because you're trying to get the most out of your returns possible. And this is where I'm carrying out some of the upkeep and management work from the 7, and trying to see how I can make it even better. How can I help my investments along? What further work can I do that'll really, really make sure I'm reaping the greatest return I can while my investments are kind of maturing? That brings me to my favorite card in the tarot deck, the 9 of Pentacles. This really resembles the place where those investments have matured and are now paying you back. Now you're collecting dividends. Now you are enjoying, you know, the fruits of this higher paying position or that raise, that promotion. Now you're really enjoying the affluence that has come to you because of those important networking connections that you've made. And it's putting you at a place where you are able to provide for yourself. The 9 of Pentacles really resembles autonomy and self-sufficiency. It pictures a woman in her garden, and it's a fruitful garden. You know, now these vines, these grapevines that previously we were just planting, are now bearing fruit and providing for us. This garden is her providence, and it is enough to sustain her. She is now fully self-sufficient. You know, we've arrived at the place where I have my means. I really admire this card. I've said that already a handful of times. For me, this has always felt like my highest goal, to kind of arrive at this place where I've got mine, I can take care of myself. And it's because of the work that I've done. You know, this place of self-sufficiency is not something that you just fell into. This is the 9 in our very industrious pentacle suit. You have done work. You have gotten that job, learned it, really mastered it, been careful about where you invested yourself, taken your time about finding the right places to do it, started to really watch those investments mature, continued to refine your work, and finally, skipped a card. Finally, I've arrived. I've arrived and I have it. I'm now just living off of these dividends. I really can provide for just myself. And I have an abundance. Look at how many grapes. Absolutely abundant. So this really is kind of a beautiful realization of all the work that came prior in the suit. Which leads us to our 10 of Pentacles. The 10 of Pentacles reflects a lot of the same things in the 9, but more shows the whole happy family. this is where you're able to realize your place as like head of household. I'm able to provide for others with the providence that I've, built up in the series up to this point. I'm able to kind of really offer a meaningful home and meaningful space. If it's like, my friends that I, built up at one point in the story earlier that I've really invested into and built up around me, this is us doing our usual weekly get together. We're going out doing our thing, and it's good and stable and secure and routine and harmonious. Yes, I've achieved it. That is Earth's goal here. If it's, this is my home, I've got it, I've got my job, it's steady, it's secure, I can pay the bills, I can put food on the table, I can get those incidental extra things for everyone in the house that needs it, including myself. I've done it. I've built my home. Is a lot of what's reflected in the Ten of Pentacles. Which is a really elegant conclusion to this suit. I'd like to open the floor to any questions that anyone might have. I've concluded the shuffle previously by drawing a single card, kind of as a sign-off message for all of us. It's really interesting drawing cards for a group of people, because when we're working with one person, and I'm really trying to get a clarified message that's for you personally, your personal process, working towards that aim, is going to have a unique character for you. And it's really easy to get a very clear and poignant message from a reading when we're working with one person. When we're reading for a small group, it's a little different. It's interesting because now I'm asking the question, where is the commonality between us that we're all connected on, that we can all take away this certain message from? So I'd love to, I see you in the chat there, Rachel, sharing how you have never felt more safe in your relationships. And I'm so glad that's true, following that Two of Cups that kind of set the stage for the reading that we went into. I kind of want this last card that I offer all of us here right now on the stream, and maybe some of you who are tuning in and catching this message later on the video, just on YouTube. I would like to draw us a card that really helps point us to what we can focus on to get that richness, that fullness from our relationships, that safety, that security, and just really have friendships that we can appreciate and that we can go back to. I want to draw one card for all of us, and that reveals a little bit of the lesson that we can focus on that does that. Our card together is the Lovers. I couldn't have asked for a more fun draw. The Lovers, I actually really like. I learned from a book that my dad provided me that was actually built around this deck, that had kind of a somewhat unique definition of the Lovers. It really focused on how the Lovers is about exercising your choice and your free will. It's number 6 in the Major Arcana. Probably going to start the Major Arcana next week, because I really want to go over them. This early in the cycle, this is where you're first deviating on your own path, usually with someone else who wants to do it with you. The Lovers is all about finding other people that are passionate about living life the way you want to, doing the things that you want to, and joining with them over that common ground. Just finding that common ground and saying, I don't care if this is weird or different or, like not for everyone. It is for us. It is for me, certainly. And I found someone else who's into it. That's really what comes through in the Lovers, is this agreement between two people to diverge from the norm, or to break off into their own initiative, their own idea of what they want to do. And there's a lot about the Lovers that is very empowered. These people are now taking things into their own hands and deciding for themselves what they want to do. Finding deeper and more meaningful, sound, safe friendships for us, we can uncover something. Thinking more carefully just about, where am I finding people that really want to move forward in the way that I want to? Where am I finding people that really want to do what I want to do? Do it the way I want to do it. I'm not going to compromise for someone, and I'm not going to compromise for the norms for what society or culture is dictating I should be into. I'm not. I'm me. And I want someone to meet me there. That's how we'll find our most meaningful relationships. Thanks everyone for tuning into the shuffle. I'll be back again next week, every Thursday. I think that next time we'll have to start the major arcana. I think they break themselves nicely into 3 7-card sets. So I'll probably be able to get through the first 7 in an hour. We'll see. Until then.